All right, so we're going to get started today, and yes, some of you already noticed that this is 205. There will be a 204, but you're going to get 204 later. So these are slightly out of order, but I'm giving you the final. This is what we're doing for the final in this class. But I'm giving it to you now because when we start to get into some of the more complicated things like cutting sections, it's a lot better if you have something good to work from. So I'd rather have you work ahead of time, start designing this, and have something that's worthwhile when we get to, say, cutting a section or doing a line drawing, etc. So even though it's early, we're going to get started on it. Even 204 will dovetail into this assignment. So you'll be able to use 204 inside of this assignment. And so it'll make sense as we go forward. So I'm really trying to save you guys some work long term, and I think this is how I've been doing it, and it seems to work really nicely for the class. So we're starting today, and you got the handout for 218, to work on this assignment 205. So let me talk a little bit about assignment 205 just so you have a better understanding of what it is that we're going to be doing. You're going to be designing an artist's retreat. You can pick the artist. It's pretty loose definition in terms of artists. Some people, and the reason I do this is there's always a variety of design levels within the class. And so some of you want to get a portfolio piece out of it, and you want to be able to push the design envelope. You want to pick a specific artist, design this cottage for that artist so you can tell a story and really push the design of it. Others of you are just trying to learn the software, and that's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but you may not want to go as extensive on picking an artist and working with that conceptual artist and how it would fit in which case you could even say you are the artist because technically you're an artist. So it's a loose definition is my point. So depending on what you want to get out of it, you can vary the program a little bit. This is designed to be very, very small. So it's 500 square feet, that's it, which when you start to think about it is really, really tiny. The reason that it's really tiny is because I want you to spend a lot of time working on the details of it. Do sometimes the projects get a little bit bigger? Sure. Am I willing to let you get a little bit bigger? Sure. But I don't want you to sacrifice detail just because you want more square footage. Does that make sense? So it's really about really getting good detail and a lot, because ultimately we're going to be rendering it and we want to have good quality renders out of it. We will be creating a series of 4 renderings. You will turn these 4 renderings in. Typically people do more than that. They turn in 6, 8 renderings, but there are 4 required renderings. Those 4 required renderings are an exterior daytime render and an exterior night render. So you've got a day and a night of exterior. You will also have a day and a night of interior. So those are the 4 renderings. You have to have one of each of those. Even if you give me extras of one or the other of them, I have to have one of each of those. You will be graded on one of each of those. I have seen people get to the final and they've turned in all exterior renderings and no interior renderings. Well, when you look at the final grade, it's going to suffer pretty dramatically because you're not satisfying 2 of those boxes. So you really have to make sure you get one of each of those renderings. So we're going to do those 4. And then we're going to do a line drawing technique where we actually get plans and sections out of our 3D model. I do this because you spend so much time working on the 3D model, you ought to be able to get a good plan or a good section out of it. And so I'm going to walk you through that process. We will do a line drawing plan, a line drawing section, and a line drawing elevation. We'll do those 3. You will be required to turn in 2 of those 3. So if one of them fails miserably and doesn't turn out, that's okay. You don't have to turn that one in. You get a pass on one of those 3, but the other 2 you will be turning in. We will do those in class. So this is, you can tell right now that we haven't even talked about night renderings. We haven't talked about lights. So there's still a lot left to cover over the course of the semester. So this is kind of getting the basic geometry down. We'll deal with putting the lights in and doing that kind of stuff as we go forward. But for right now, we're going to concentrate on that geometry. All of this is due on Monday, the 9th of December, which really isn't that far away. It's like a month and a half away. And you will print them out on 11 by 17s, 1 image per 11 by 17. You don't need anything fancy. You don't need any special text. You don't need layouts, nothing. Just 1 image per 11 by 17, 1 of the line drawings for each of those 11 by 17. So you will give me 6 pieces of paper though I will grade the online post, not the paper version. I just like to have the paper version for posterity purposes. Okay, so that is due. Yeah, that's due on the 9th of December. That's that same day I will bring donuts. You guys will eat your donuts. You'll turn in your project, and I'll have a little survey that I'll pass out that you'll do online that'll say what you liked and what you didn't like about the class, and help me kind of tailor the class for the coming semesters. It's important that you know that no late work will be accepted. So after that date, after the end of class on that date, I won't accept anything. We do, however, have to meet one more time because of the way the final schedule works. So on Wednesday, you will have to come here, say hi, I will check you off, and then you can go work or study or do whatever you want to do. But it's just the way it works. You actually physically have to come and whatever. So as much as I would like you to just send me an email, you have to come here and say hi, and then you can go study or what have you. So I've chosen to do that on the first day to try to get it over with so you guys can concentrate on the rest of your finals, the remainder of finals week. I hope that works for everybody. But it seemed to work the last 2 semesters. So I'm going to kind of keep in track with that. Okay, so when it comes to modeling this, like I said, it's only 500 square feet, so it's pretty small. I've given you 2 sites to choose from. These are both similar, and I'm going to show you the sites in just a second on the computer. They're both very similar, except that one's on the coast and one's in the mountains. So depending on what your interest is, whether you're kind of a beach person or you're a mountain person, you have a good choice. They're both very loaded sites. They're both really nice, great views, etc. So you've got a lot of flexibility there when it comes to designing your place. Both of them are on public lands, so they wouldn't actually be a real site. They're also both not accessible by vehicle, so you're going to be hiking to this cabin as opposed to driving a car to it. That being said, there's no garages in this model. There's nothing other than a little path that gets you there. So I'm really trying to strip it down and keep it clean for you. I don't want to see any cars in the rendering or anything like that. When it comes to construction cost or being able to do this, you have no budget, which is fantastic. Furthermore, because you have no budget, if you needed to helicopter some stuff in, that would be cool. I'm not worried about any of the logistics of it. When it's done, you'll walk to it. Other than that, no problem. Okay? So today, really, other than me showing you the sites, which I'm going to do in just a second, there's not a lot I'm going to do. I want you to spend the day, I want you to spend the whole day getting as far into the design as you possibly can. We will continue with a couple more days of this kind of work, although I'll start weaving in, like, this is how you bring the site in. Next class, we'll bring the site in, figure out how to site your model and that sort of thing. So I will continue to teach you some, but over the next, let's say, 3 or 4 class days, it's really about getting as much of the building itself done as possible. So you want to design it, you want to push forward with design, you want to get materials on there, you want to get as much detail as you can, and then once you have that, then we can start to work with it doing the rest of the things, like adding lights and doing the night renders and those kinds of things. So it's really about getting ready for the rest of the class, and that's why I'm giving it to you now, and we'll spend the time working on it. So let's talk a little bit about the sites. I pulled up the assignment 205 here on the course website. At the very bottom, there's a zip file with site information on it, which you can download. You can see I've been doing the same assignment for a while. And if I extract this, there we go. Inside of that, I have 2 SketchUp sites. But I also have 2 KML files, which are Google Earth files. So I'm going to use those to look at it. I went ahead this morning in my first class and I opened Google Earth. But I want to point out the process here just for you guys. If you go to google.com/earth, this used to be a desktop program, but it's now all through the web. So google.com/earth, and we go ahead and click the blue button for Launch Google Earth in Chrome. And that launches Google Earth. Now, before we can load in our file, we have to go and change the settings to allow us to load those KML files. You're going to click the little 3 bars up here in the top left corner, and then go to Settings. And at the bottom of the settings page, if you scroll all the way down, under General Settings here, we want to turn on the KML file import. So that toggle needs to be on. Yours will look like that. Mine's already on. And then I'll click Save. Once I've done that, I can click on the little bookmark icon right here, and I can import a KML file. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. I'll open the file, and I'm going to go to the first one, which is right here. There's site 1. Go ahead and say open. And so this site is a little bit north. There we go. We'll zoom back out a little bit. For perspective here, there's Lake Tahoe. So California, Nevada. It's on the shoulder of a mountain called Mount Talac, which is right here, though it's down a little bit. Let me orbit down so you can see here. There we go. There's a little bit more context for you. So again, mountainous setting. We're going to be exposed to a lot of snow. Prevailing winds tend to go up canyon in the morning, down canyon at night or in the afternoons. And your site is this little outcropping right here. And you can choose to place your building up on the top in the flat section, which would be very reasonable, or you can have your building kind of hanging down off the side of one of the cliffs on either side. Up to you. I've seen lots of people do kind of in this bowl here. So that's for you guys to kind of sort through what looks right for you. But it's kind of nice. You guys can see kind of the perspective of what we're looking at here, looking out toward Tahoe. So like I said, pretty loaded view. You have a really nice view. Though hiking here is a bit of a challenge. Okay, so that's the first site. And you guys can load that one up and take a look at it, see what looks right to you, what feels right. The other site, go ahead and discard this for a second. I'm going to go ahead and import the site 2. There it is. We'll go ahead and say open. And it's going to take us away from Tahoe and over to the coast. There we go. This is Tomales Point. So it is, let's see here, for perspective, right, here's our bay, there's San Francisco, there we are, right, we're coming over to the seashore. This is Point Reyes. Some of you may have been out there on the National Seashore. I'm going to get that tongue-tied. And right here, we're going to be right down here on this point. Right there. So we have pretty exceptional sunset views, should their weather not be foggy. Otherwise, we're going to be subjected to that. We have fairly consistent temperatures out there. It's always cold. But this is a Northern California beach, so we're not going to have, like the super sunshiny, sandy beach. It is on the cliffs, though. So once again, you can see how these sites are, in a way, kind of similar. You can pick anywhere along in here, but we've got essentially a similar condition where we have flat on top, and then we have cliff on the side. So you could build yourself into the side of the cliff. You could be up on top. I've seen people dig through the cliff. I mean, you got a lot of flexibility in terms of how you choose to site your particular building. So we're looking north. The sunset would be out toward that direction. So when you orient your site, you're going to want to pay attention to that. It's going to be out toward the west. And so this is your next option for your building site. So again, pretty loaded site to get there. This is very, very close to civilization, yet it's at the very end of this point, and you would have to go all the way around to get there past Tomales Bay, so it's still rather isolated. Okay. Trying to think if there's anything else. So spend a little bit of time and look around, explore the two sites, see which one feels right to you. Neither site is particularly wooded. There's not a lot of trees in either site. So they're very comparable, other than their physical locations are different. So you can very easily do either one. Make sense? All right, so I'm going to turn you guys loose, let you model today. So there's not really a big long demo or anything that we're going to do. Again, try to get as far as you possibly can, and then next class I'll talk to you about integrating with the site. So in terms of today, you're going to create a file and you're going to start building your artist's retreat on this file. Next class, we will take that file and we'll bring it as a block reference into terrain, and we'll cut out the site and we'll place it into the site. And then you can keep working on your retreat in its own file, and then it'll keep updating into the master site, which is where we'll do the rendering. So for right now, it's just one file. It's going to be the retreat base file, and you guys will start from there.